London, once the centre of the modern world, the heart of an empire bigger than any other in history. But what's the future like for old Britannia? Is it bright, or is the sun finally setting? 5 years pretty much to the day after leaving my home country, we are back in the UK for a period of time, and the differences in life from just 5 years ago and now are very stark, let alone my childhood. So in this video we're going to explore the real Britain, not the very centre of London or the most deprived parts, but the places that the majority of Brits live, how life is in 2025, how it's changed and how it is going to change going forward.
In our opinion, London is still one of the best cities in the world. Yes, it comes with its own problems, but it is still a beautiful, vibrant city, especially in central London. And despite the headlines, is still the financial capital of Europe. However, the situation in the UK is pretty much the same as everywhere else in the world, where London, the capital, is a bit of a bubble, and the situation throughout the rest of the country is quite different. So, I suggest we leave the capital.
Okay, we've made it to London Victoria Station and we're heading down to the south coast to a town that is a medium-sized average town here in the UK, but is quite a famous one historically. The train journey is going to take us about an hour and a half-ish, and it's around 60 miles, so let's get a ticket. That's per person, yeah? Two people.
Jesus Christ, £90! £90!
£89.20 to go 50, 60 miles down to the south coast.
I mean, train tickets used to be expensive, and they're going up again. This is ridiculous. £90 for one, not even return. There'll always be someone who's going to say, oh, if you booked your ticket 3 weeks ahead of your journey on full moon while singing the anthem at the same time, then it would be way cheaper.
Which is true.
True, but that's not how people travel, is it?
How much cheaper as well. I mean, we took a train in... We took a train in China not too long ago, high-speed train from Kunming all the way to Beijing. And I know that prices are relative with wages in that country, but this was a high-speed train. It took 9 hours to go something like 1,700 kilometres, and it cost around £40 each. So cheaper than this. Fucking hell. Oh, it's funny, after 5 years of being away from the UK, as Julia said, we knew prices were high for the trains, but
this just seems ridiculous.
We're definitely not used to that
anymore. You're saying prices are relative to the wages.
But that's not relative.
That's not.
That's not relative. Something that's a reoccurring theme, I feel like, in the UK is the privatisation of a lot of businesses within the country that used to be nationalised with the view to making them more efficient and saving costs. However, with that, it feels like costs have only gone up exponentially, and the service you're getting, especially when it comes to trains, is really not good. The delays, the infrastructure, we're running off Victorian infrastructure, really, you know, and the trains may be modernised, but...
Well, you know what, it's not just that. I remember getting a train from work home. They would cancel them because it was raining, it was too hot, too many leaves fell down. There was just such bollocks every time, and they would cancel them literally non-stop, like not reliable at all.
Yeah.
Well...
Beggars can't be choosers. Let's get that ticket.
Don't feel like a beggar paying £90 for tickets.
Well, that's the thing, you got no choice, right? You got no choice. Right, come on then. Welcome to Hastings on the Sussex coast, a town with over 1,000 years worth of history. Actually a town that's very famous in England. It was the place of the Battle of Hastings, which was the last time that the UK was successfully invaded. It's actually a place that I used to spend a lot of my summer holidays as well down here on the Sussex coast, and a place we haven't been for a long time. So let's check it out and see what it's like in 2025.
The reason why we picked Hastings is because it's quite a fair representation of what medium-sized English towns are like nowadays. It's very similar to a town we used to live in, Crawley. However, biggest difference is Crawley is located right next to Gatwick Airport, which means that employment rates are very high, which is quite different to Hastings. It can be quite seasonal because there is more of a touristy season during summer, but not the same as it used to be back in the day. Hastings used to be a very popular destination for Brits to come on holiday, but the situation changed in 70s or 80s when cheaper flights and holiday packages arrived to more desirable and warmer destinations like fascist Spain. I'm not making it up, check it out for yourself. And some towns reinvented themselves like Brighton, but Hastings not so much. I really like the vibe here, especially when the weather is this grim. Something very romantic about it.
Not very Christmassy.
Not very.
It is only the beginning of December, to be fair. Maybe there's more coming.
When it comes to Christmas, every December Matt and I swear that this year we're going to get organized properly. And every December at 8 p.m. in the evening on Christmas Eve, we're doing a panic clap in a shop.
It's basically a tradition at this point. But this year, we feel that we've pulled off the perfect, most thoughtful gift on purpose. I've bought my mum an Aura frame. And honestly, I think it's the first time I've nailed a gift without stressing.
Aura is the easiest win.
We loaded it in advance with loads of chaotic family photos, dog photos, some from our travels, and most importantly, photos of our late stepfather, Steve. And the best thing with Aura is that we can keep adding photos from our travels, from afar, all year round. You just head onto the app and upload the photos from your phone, and then boom, magically, they're back on the photo frame here in the UK.
And it arrives in this really premium gift box, so you don't even need to wrap it. Honestly, if you're looking for a really thoughtful present without stressing, this is the move. You can't wrap togetherness, but you can frame it.
For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by heading to auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura Frames' best-selling Carver matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter, by using promo code Matt and Julia at checkout.
That's auraframes.com, and the code is Matt and Julia.
This deal is exclusive to our followers, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get them in time for the holidays, and support the channel by mentioning us at checkout.
Terms and conditions apply. Let's head back to the streets.
The thing is about life in the UK is the thing that stands out to me, it always has, but it definitely seems to have got worse over the last 5 years, is the disparity between life in certain areas, mainly London and some of the home counties, and in towns like this that are more representative of the majority of the UK. Towns that have kind of been left behind by the system as the City of London has grown and income has increased. People here have been left behind in places like this. I think I'm going to be blown away in a minute. For quite a short period after World War II and up until the financial crisis, mainly in 2008, the UK has always been a society with very high wealth and a poorer working class. But it's something that maybe for 2 or 3 generations, certainly my parents' generation, was different. There was investment in public services and standards of living started to rise for everyone. But it seems now, especially since 08 and austerity, things have gone the other direction. And especially since COVID, I read a shocking statistic the other day about the very high 1%, 0.1% of the UK, and how their income has doubled in 5 years since COVID. whereas the bottom 20, 30, 40, 50%, I've seen the opposite. And you can really see it in towns like this. And unlike people that may come from abroad and make videos about the UK, it's quite a trend among many people at the moment. It doesn't bring me any joy to look at places like this. You know, this is my childhood, this is my country. And I think I've got quite a unique perspective leaving the UK 5 years ago, and also growing up in the town that I did, a very multicultural town on the edge of London. I was able to see London itself, the very rich end of the UK, and then a normal working class town. And to see our town centres emptying out like this, buildings falling into disrepair, our infrastructure slowly, it seems, falling further and further behind other countries that we should be competing against, is really sad. You know, it took us an hour and a half to get down here to Hastings, an hour and 40 minutes from Victoria. We only went 53 miles, I think it is, 80 kilometers, which is crazy. You know, to tie it back to trains again, we done a journey of about 400 kilometers of that time in China. Investment into public services, into local councils, has been low since 2008, but it really feels like now it's starting to reach an influx point, and people are angry. I feel like many working class people are very angry about the situation in the country. My opinion is a lot of that anger is often misguided, and we should be looking at the people that run our system and the people at the very top that have doubled their wealth in 5 years. You know, we often get told there's no money left in the system, but there is a lot of money, and if you're up in London walking around, you see that. But down here on the south coast, you certainly don't. On that note, it's not to say that every country we've been to doesn't have its own disparity problems, and some worse than others. But this is the country that I care about, because this is my country, this is where my family live. And the wealth disparity here in the UK is shocking, very, very large. And the thing is that the trend is only accelerating. And that's what's sad more than anything. So as the crow flies here in Hastings, we're supposed to be around 45 miles from the centre of London, and in the year 1666 there was the Great Fire of London, and it was said that the fire was so big that it could have been seen from here down in Hastings on the south coast. Crazy.
I have a very different perspective to Matt, because I am an adopted Brit. I moved to the UK back in 2014, mainly to steal people's jobs, and I was very good at it. You know, one of the things that I noticed a lot, it changed over the last, especially 5 years, is that how divided the country has become. We travel around the world, and the main goal is to bring people together, to show that we're all the same. We want the same things out of life. And to see this sort of thing happening at home, where opinions are so polarized, I find it very sad. It seems to be quite polarized as whether woke side or the righties or the lefties, whatever, complete opposite one. Everything is not black and white. And there are good and bad points to both arguments. We just need to talk to each other and to listen. And that's why I think it's quite upsetting for Matt and I to see people spreading more fuel on fire and making people more angry and more sure of their opinions, which is not really healthy and never good for anyone.
I often see people online talking about how immigrants have come in and stolen British jobs and stolen houses. And this argument always makes me laugh. We've got a real property crisis in the UK and a real rental crisis, and then also a real homelessness crisis. On that note, I remember going to the US in 2012 and being shocked. We were in San Francisco and being shocked at the amount of homeless we saw there. It wasn't something we had in the UK at the time. And then lo and behold, about 5 or 6 years later, things started changing. And now it's really sad, like in our towns, you see it in Crawley, we've seen it here in Hastings, there's so many people living on the streets, and it used to be an exception now, but now you know that any average British town, and in the centre of London, you're going to see people on the streets. But it's not because immigrants have come in and stolen houses. We used to have something called council homes. I grew up in a council house, and they were homes provided by the government for working class people. We could rent them for a discount. And under Margaret Thatcher years ago, without getting too political and too deep, something called Right to Buy was introduced, and people could start buying their council houses for a discount, which was amazing. However, those council houses were never replaced. And we now have a situation where there's many homeowners of a certain generation, and people have bought second, third, fourth homes that they're renting out. There's also companies like BlackRock that own a massive percentage of UK housing and apartments, and they're renting them out en masse. And both the rental and the buyer's market has just gone wild. So people can't afford homes anymore. And especially with the fact that wages over years and years have just plateaued, especially in real terms, they've almost gone down. I saw something shocking the other week, which was the difference between US and UK wages. And I'll see if I can find the picture to put on screen now, the graph. But it was shocking how much it's changed in, I think, about 30 years. We were equivalent, but with that, our property prices have gone up 12% year on year. Even during the financial crisis, they didn't drop as much, and then they just shot back up and just went crazy. For me, again, it's just the real sad overriding feeling of the people and the organisations more at the very top are making a lot of money. However, the people at the bottom of the system are falling further and further behind.
I think it's time we get some food.
What are we going for? We're going to a cafe?
Yeah?
Sure.
Sure.
I'll have a look. How about the village cafe?
Sounds perfect.
Let's go. This is Ozzy's kitchen.
Hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Good, thank you very much.
We're going to grab menus, yeah?
Yeah, just sit down, no problem.
Cheers.
No
Thank you.
problem.
Amazing.
Wow.
Thank you very much.
You have different accent. Where are you from?
Thank you.
Me?
Yeah.
I'm from here. I'm from near to London.
Different accent, like Scottish, different accent.
Oh, really?
I'm
Yeah.
Russian.
Russian.
I'm Russian.
Russia.
Where are you from?
I'm from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria.
Ah, здравейте, здравейте. You're here for a long
I've
time?
been student in Russia 6 years. Хорошо я говорю русский.
О,
Учился в Москве. Я
В Москве?
в Москве учились?
А когда?
80...
А еще в советское время, да?
Да,
Да?
Вот это интересно, конечно.
Да,
Обалдеть.
я учился в Москве 6 лет.
Да?
А сколько вы здесь уже живете?
27 лет.
27 лет?
Да.
Ну вы уже чисто англичанин.
Ну,
А всегда, все время в Хейстинге,
да,
да?
ну, немножко в Лондоне жил.
А, да?
Да.
Потом сюда.
Да.
Очень
А вы
интересно.
откуда из Болгарии?
Из Bulgarii, Пловдив, так как...
Пловдив?
Да.
Мы были в
А, вы были в Пловдиве.
Второй большой город в Болгарии.
Очень
Исторический,
красивый,
да.
да. очень
Красивый.
красивый.
Видишь?
А сейчас готовите английский завтрак в Англии, обалдеть!
Жизнь такая.
Жизнь, согласна, жизнь такая.
Приятного аппетита.
Спасибо.
Благодарю, благодарю.
Благодарю.
Ага. Я учу, они на русском учат, так чуть-чуть так.
А, да?
Да вы что?
А, ну,
А
хорошо.
он знает хорошо, он молдаванец, он тоже знает русский.
А, молдаванин?
Молдаванин?
Я тоже.
А, мы
Обалдеть.
были в Молдове вот несколько недель назад.
Да, видно.
Короче,
В Кишиневе, да.
Молдавия.
Молдавия, да. Спасибо
Ладно,
большое.
Спасибо большое. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah.
Very unexpected. Thank you very much. Я откуда знаешь русский? Ну вот это моя жена, мы уже 15 лет вместе.
А, молодец.
Тоже кука. Türkçe.
I might have breakfast.
Biraz.
Ama güzel
Thank you.
Memnun oldum.
Ben de memnun oldum. Çok teşekkür ederim.
Teşekkür ederim. Very nice to
Ben
meet you.
teşekkür ederim.
Görüşürüz.
Görüşmek üzere.
See you again.
Çok sağ ol.
Görüşürüz. Çok sağ ol.
Очень приятно.
Очень
Рада
приятно познакомиться.
познакомиться.
Да, Борис.
Юля.
Юля, Борис.
What's your name?
Matthew.
Was?
Ozzy. Ah, Oz. Makes sense.
See you again, maybe
Ozzy's
again.
Kitchen.
Come
So-
on.
Ozzy's
Yeah,
Kitchen,
for
that's
sure,
it.
for sure. See you again.
See you again.
Nice to see you again.
Nice to
Yes,
see you.
yeah.
Have a good day.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I filled a hole. What a place. If you're ever in Hastings, come to Ozzy's Kitchen. The Village Cafe, I think it's called on Google Maps, but when you get here, it's Ozzy's Kitchen. Oh, lovely. And what lovely guys in there from Turkey and Bulgaria. And the guy from Bulgaria actually spoke Russian, lived there for 6 years. Fascinating. What a small world. So we're coming up to the old coast. Obviously in December it's a little bit grim along here, but I kind of like this, you know. I like the cold, grim, rainy, wet weather. There's something nice about it if you leave, I guess. Living in it was quite depressing, but here in the summer it's actually really beautiful along the coast here in Hastings. And as I said earlier, we used to come down here as a child for little holidays, and as Julia mentioned, back in its heyday, this, along with other coastal British towns, especially before the onset of foreign holidays, these places were beautiful. Hastings would have been a dream destination for many people, and I still think it's really beautiful. Just over there, see if we can put a clip over top, you've got the old funicular up onto the cliff. And on a very, very clear day in that direction, you can actually just see France. We're not too far from Dover along the Kent coast in that direction, and France is somewhere just across the English Channel over there. And on that note, you may be able to make out a load of ships just behind me over here. Let's walk around there. Behind me you can see a load of boats, and then these rollers take the boats out to sea. And Hastings used to have the biggest on-beach fishing fleet in Europe up until very recently. But since Brexit and the change in fishing agreements and stuff, this town suffered a lot on that front, and there used to be around 60 boats that had fishing licenses to go out from the town and fish, and now that's down to 16 apparently, which is really sad. The fishing industry in this town, along with a lot of other coastal towns, which used to be the heartbeat of the UK economy, has disappeared near enough, or is certainly a lot smaller. The UK is a tiny country, a tiny island that managed to conquer the world, and whatever you think of the British Empire, it's still very amazing that a small island of fishermen, of sailors, managed to head out onto the seas in front of us and conquer the world. As I say, I spent so many weekends as a child down here on the beach. I actually went swimming in this sea on many occasions. Not that I do it today. Have a look at this. Whew. back in the day, going out on wooden boats from places like this, in this type of weather, and heading out into the open sea. The bravery of people out at sea from any country all over the world never ceases to amaze me. Imagine back in the day, in 1066, with the Normans advancing across the English Channel here, looking out from up on them cliffs and just seeing the Armada come towards you as William the Conqueror and his army steamed into England. Unreal. So much history in this town. And a nice public toilet as well.
Which I'm going to use.
Me too.
On the way home, we just stopped at the shop to grab a couple of bits. Let's see how much staple goods cost nowadays. Milk, 1.65. Butter, Tesco's on £2. Wow.
How much are we looking for? Just a classic white loaf, 1.55. Right, we need to grab some chicken. What do we have here? 1.6 kilos of chicken. So what's that? 2, 4, 6, 8 breasts. 6 breasts. What? 2, 4, 6 breasts. £10.50. That'll do. Let's grab that. Thanks. Talking of staple items, nothing says staple British diet like a can of baked beans. How much are we looking?
Shall we go for Branston?
Yeah, Branston. Pack of 4 cans, like that. £3. We don't need them.
All stocked up. We do need eggs.
Eggs. There. Should we go for the 10 on the left? 10 large.
Are chickens charging premium now for laying their eggs or something?
They might be. It might be fair workers' pay or something. Yeah.
I object.
Maybe. The chickens are on the national minimum wage now.
Okay.
£2.55. £2.55 for 10 eggs. So this part of the video, this is where it's kind of interesting to find a comparison between other countries. So let us know how much 1.5 kilos worth of chicken, 1.5 kilos worth of chicken breast, or 6 chicken breast costs in your country, and how much 10 eggs would cost. Interesting to compare.
Payments accepted. Thanks for shopping at Tesco.
We just went for a drive around Sussex and we wanted to show you this gorgeous village. We're not far from Hastings here, but it does feel like a world away. The thing is, places like this do exist and people live in them. Your picture-perfect England. It's just that unfortunately not a large percentage of Brits can afford to live in places like that. But they are gorgeous, especially on a sunny day like this. This is the England you see on postcards. And kind of imagine the country to be like this when you arrive there. But then you do, and your husband takes you to live in Crawley. Amount of people we have commenting on this and saying, how bad must Siberia be now that you chose to live in Crawley? And I'm saying Siberia ain't that bad. I did not know what I was signing up for.
You love Crawley. You love
I
Crawley.
do. I do.
So it felt right to finish this short trip around the south of England here at one of the most beautiful spots in the south of England. This is the Sussex coast, and this is the Seven Sisters Cliffs, and this is somewhere I used to come a lot in childhood, and somewhere that we came a lot when we were living here, right, for walks. And on days like this it's absolutely gorgeous, middle of winter, but the sea is so blue, the sky is lovely and clear. It's very windy, but just look at this, how green are these fields.
Lush.
Very, very lush. Started this video asking if the sun's finally set on the UK, and it's about to set in an hour but hopefully not on the UK forever. You know, we left 5 years ago and things have changed a lot over the past 5 years. Obviously all my family's still here, so I'm hearing about the changes and things that are going right and aren't going right in the UK all the time. But coming back here and spending a prolonged period of time here for the first time since 2020, you feel that a lot has changed. And quite honestly, most of the feeling among people that we meet and our family and just the general sentiment on the street is not a very positive one. We currently have one of the highest taxations in the Western world, but our public services seem to be under more strain than ever. Our towns seem to be emptying out. The solution is so much more complicated than just fixing a few things. But fingers crossed, out of hope, maybe more than expectation, things can change for the better. One thing's for sure, out here on the Sussex coast, it's absolutely gorgeous.